Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Israel Fintech Week. It is my pleasure to address you, to tell you about fintech trends in the world and as they are reflected in Israel. But I will start with the organization that I represent, the Fintech Community of Israel, CTTLV. We are an NGO and we were established about 7 years ago. While fintech is in the heart of our activities in the last 3 and 4 years, our philosophy is to be the house of all players and all stakeholders. So our membership includes officials, governments, regulators, of course the industry, the banks, the insurance companies, startup companies, advisors, investors, the academia, and many more. So we are really in the heart of the fintech industry in Israel, which is expanding by the day. We can count today about 600 fintech companies in Israel. Most of them are, of course, young in their early stages, but some of them are already well-renowned brands all over the world. The issue of the day is, of course, the pandemic, the COVID-19, and how it reflects it in our industry. Any industry has suffered some hiccups and some setbacks during this unexpected event. And I would say that in the fintech industry, the first reaction was maybe on the investors, who became much more cautious, and it was more difficult to attract them, to attract their attention, and they were focusing, if at all, on more proven concepts and less on high risk. But this has changed with the time, and I hope that by the end of this presentation you will be convinced that the current situation is maybe the best in its opportunities that the industry has known for ages. What we can already say is that not only that fintech has many new opportunities out of this situation, but it may even lead the growth and the revival out of this troubled area. So other than the investment area, as I mentioned, I think that the opportunity here is huge, and it calls for the industry to think big and to think boldly. And I think that taking leadership in the global economic recovery is a bold idea, but doable. What we can say on the upside is, first of all, that all kind of fintech technology has become much more visible in the current recession and in the current crisis. One way to look at it is a very interesting survey made by the World Economic Forum together with the Cambridge University about how regulators have reacted to the situation. And if I can quote from their report, they say COVID-19 has moved fintech up the regulatory agenda, with financial regulators responding with both sector-wide and fintech-specific measures to harness opportunities and mitigate risks introduced by technology-enabled financial innovation. Digital payments and remittances feature prominently. So in other words, the situation has caught the attention of the regulators, even if it was not very high on their priority previously. And I can say that in the Israeli case, it couldn't be more true, because we do have some claims that the Israeli regulators do not keep up fast enough with financial innovation, and sometimes it takes too long to adopt new innovation in the Israeli market, to the extent that most the successful Israeli fintechs are very successful all over the world, but the Israeli consumer is not always enjoying their fruits. So this also gives another opportunity to fintech for regulators to keep pace with the innovation and to take care both of the needs of the industry and of course keep protecting the consumer. One interesting indicator, from another survey to testify on the situation, is the search in Google for fintech, for the notion fintech. As a matter of fact, Google themselves mapped out the trends in searching for their fintech and fintech-related areas, and their finding, again I quote, that during the lockout period there was a peak of searches in regards to fintech guidance. People are looking for tax and mortgage benefits, for example. There has been a 300% increase in searches in the sector at all. So this is also another indicator of what's happening in the market. Let's look at some sectors and to see how they were affected. First of all, we are all talking these days about social distances. It's really one of the trademarks of the pandemic, and it has happened all over the world. These social distances have demonstrated once more the impracticality of what we call cash. It is, of course, can be contaminated when it's moving from hand to hand. It's costly to handle, it's costly to secure, and with the health element added to it, people are now discovering the beauty and advantages of electronic payments in all its forms. Another area that has seen growth is lending. We know that many people have lost their jobs, unfortunately, either temporarily or permanently, are in financial difficulties and are looking for new ways and quick ways of getting loans and financing. The same goes to business, especially SMEs, small retailers that were forced to shut down through their different measures taken by the governments and are in deep need for lending. Another quite obvious one is the payments stream. We all talk about all the ease of today. It's e-commerce and e-learning and even in training, all accompanied with deliveries and like-minded services. And all these require quick and efficient ways of payments provided by all the measures that we all know and I'm sure will be covered in this conference. Another one is InsurTech. Again, gaining InsurTech, gaining insurance, gaining protection for new kind of risk are all made much easier by the InsurTech. How does the market respond to all this? One very visible trend is collaborations. And normally collaborations between organizations and businesses that previously were not conceived as fintech organizations. They tie in with other fintechs and create new collaborations and new alignments that are changing the markets. Just to give an illustration for the Israeli local market, one of our leading food retail chains called Rami Levy has developed a whole session and whole gamut of financial services by collaborating with fintech companies. And today, more and more people look at this chain as not only a retail chain, but almost as a bank, as a financial institution, providing answers for many financial issues not directly connected with buying and purchasing from the chain. We also see in the banking industry that while fintech was adopted by many banks first and foremost as a way to improve their processes, maybe to cut some costs and to give and provide the services more efficiently. Today we can see more and more banks outside of the traditional system, the digital bank, and also in Israel we have now under construction the first digital bank due to enter the market in March or April of 2021, already holding a permit by the regulator, the Bank of Israel, and it will be very interesting to see how the market reacts when not the traditional banks develop digital and fintech services, but also a new player comes to the market. One other observation that we have to look when we look forward is the entry of 5G technology. 5G will no doubt revolutionize many other areas, but will also allow fintech to be quicker, more accurate. The same goes, of course, to blockchain. This is not great news already. It's almost old news, but although cryptocurrencies has kept most of the headlines, the real use of blockchain in fintech, including smart contracts and the likes, are being more developed and more seen in the market. So to sum up, we feel that the new era, the new after COVID era will bring about more benefits to the fintech industry than threats. And the opportunities are huge. Those who are in the industry already will enjoy new sources of funding, new interests. They will be able to develop their businesses by collaborations with new players, new type of players. While some branches of fintech may suffer even over competition. For instance, payments is already a very crowded area, but I think that generally speaking, it is not too optimistic to say that fintech will be one of the industries that will lead the world out of this recession. Thank you.